Hi everyone, this is a part 2 of conditioning the mind and how to feel auras a little bit better, or sort of how to relate to them a little bit better. So on the first part we've gone over how to condition the mind in terms of us breaking away from that sort of standard way of thinking where we're controlled by our thoughts, and sort of controlling our thoughts by being able to have a little bit more say in our thoughts, having a little bit more power over our thoughts, over ourselves, by not letting us be ruled by our urges and our instant thoughts. We get these instant thoughts in our head, and we can't necessarily stop that. We can learn to shut it down by silencing the mind, but we'll always get them. And coming to terms with those thoughts by balancing them out is a way in which we can become a higher state of being. Okay, let's think about this example. If you wanted to plant a tree and your mind says, oh, the tree's probably going to die. If your mind says that and you instantly believe that thought, then you're going to go telling everyone, the tree's going to die, oh, it's going to die, It's so stupid planting trees. I don't even know why people plant trees, because they're just going to die, and you start getting into conversations. That becomes a core part of your belief, just one thing that your mind told you. Whereas if your mind says, that tree is probably going to die, and you say, well, it's probably not going to die as well, then your mind has a new realm to open up to, which is a new balanced realm. If you tell yourself something, it's going to happen. Not in the way which is scary or existential. So it's like if you think that you're a can of Pepsi, you're not going to turn into a can of Pepsi per se. You might feel like one, but that's because your mind is making you feel like one. And that's why we need to shut down this mind. Or your mind says, I hate doing the dishes, and that's the thought. Well, and then you say to your mind, well, the dishes could also be fun. Then your mind is, then when you do the dishes, your mind is not constantly thinking, oh, how much I hate the dishes, cleaning them or whatnot. You've also got, this is actually kind of fun. I'm alive, I'm doing the dishes, thinking about the world around me, I'm in my inner peace. What more could you want? I love the dishes. So that's a way in which we can really make ourselves more conditioned to a better and a higher standard of thinking. And that's something that we should all do. And I warn you that when you start thinking in this way, you'll notice how polluted everyone else's thoughts are with their own urges, their own just instant thoughts, and how much they're controlled by their mind. When you start thinking in a way which is more balanced, and it's less judgmental, and it's more open, more open to everything around you. And when you get a negative thought, you can simply say, the other polarity. And you can be in your inner peace. You can continue to be in your inner peace, not bothered by your mind. And you can just stay in this state, still in this state. Most people get to this maybe 15-20 seconds, oh, my job tomorrow is going to be terrible. And then you can say to your mind, oh, but it could also be not terrible and really fun. And then you can stay in that state, because now where that point of your mind is after, if you think about that's the thought, that's your reaction, now you're here. What matters is what's here. And now that you've balanced out that thought, you're not stuck thinking on the negative, and you can just stay in that realm again. You're not pulled out of it by your own negative thoughts. Alright, so let's talk about auras then. Auras its name is a little bit abstract. It sounds a little bit out of the human reach, but it's very much in the human reach. I like to use the term energy, just because energy is, whatever we eat is energy. And some people don't even believe that. You tell them that food is energy, and they'll say, oh, their mind will tell them that I don't like that. And they don't have the capacity to balance out their negative thought with the positive one. Oh, well, I could like that if I understood it better. you know. Or if it's like your mind says, I don't like that, that's a very negative thought because it doesn't know much about the topic matter, doesn't really know the circumstances revolving. If you can't think of it in a positive way, you could just make it a little bit less negative. So if your mind says, I don't like that, you know, I hate that, you could say, well, I don't really agree with that as much as I should be, but I'm open to suggestion. That's a way in which you can make yourself, if you can't make yourself positive simply because your mind is too strongly on it, or you feel just strongly against it, then you can just become a little bit less negative, because there's enough negativity in the world. We don't need any more. There's already too much of that. We don't need more negativity. It's too much. It's too much. It's unbalanced. We live in a slightly negative world. Let them do the balancing of the negativity, and you can be a little bit more positive. You know, in that way you should be a little bit more blessed, because, you know, you don't have to be as negative, because there's many people already doing that for us, you know, and we can just be more positive, and we don't have to be as negative, and we can still be balanced, you know. So that's a way in which we're all connected, you know, and no one's really doing the wrong thing. Everyone's on their inner journey, but everyone's also connected in this bigger picture, this bigger life picture. So when we're talking about energy, the way I like to do it personally, which has worked for me, and I know it works for me, I don't know about anyone else, but generally I find that I can see energy better in the dark, or a darker background. So if you've got like a black curtain, or a black wall, or a shadow or something, and doing your work with the shadow behind you just gives you a really much clearer picture. It's not being superimposed against all these colors and lights and stuff. You know, you've just really got a clear picture of what's going on. So it's like a stage almost, and you can just really see it on the stage there. So if I want to see energy much clearer, usually I'll do it at night time, generally because I've used up a bit more of my energy in the day, so around 7 o'clock at night, not too late. It can be later as well. Some people see energy better when they're more sleep deprived, because the body's senses have fallen asleep almost, and you're just running off of your spirit senses, or that trying to keep the eyes open all the time can have an influence on the energy around here, around the eye system. It can make us a bit higher to be able to see it. So I'll turn off the lights, and I'll be on the computer, you know, and then I'll say, okay, I'm going to start seeing energy now, you know, and I'll just sort of lean back, and my lights will be off, so my computer will be the only light in the room, and then I'll sort of look off into the darkness, and then when I see the darkness, the end of it, I'll come back. So if this is the darkness, this is me, I'll come back to about here. So I'll come back to halfway in between me and the darkness, and that will be my stage for the energy. That's a better stage to do it than rather all the way back there. Bring it forward a little bit. So if you're there, bring it, you know, forward a little bit. You know, if you're thinking like where there, come about halfway in. So that's your stage around here. You know, a little bit further out. So it's about there is your stage. So then you're using that black background as your stage background, and you bring it forward a little bit, and then as soon as you do that, you might even see something. You might even see the energy. Basically, when I do this, I'll start seeing particles moving around. You know, particles just moving around, and I can look around everywhere. I can see the particles. You know, they're all moving around. They look like tiny. If you got like a grain of sand, and you made that even smaller, and then you made that even smaller again, and smaller again, and smaller again, and smaller again, and it's all the particle sounds like a little dot, but it's more like when you look at the water, you know, and it's all flowing sort of around, or you look at a leaf, you know, and it's, you know, particles. It's more like a if you got water and you tipped it out of the cup and you see the water flowing, that's like the particles. They're all sort of flowing around. And that's what you'll see. You'll see the particles moving around, and you'll feel very energetical around you. You might feel your hands and they're a bit more smooth. But if you work around that stage, the more you look towards that energy, that area, the more energy manifests there. Mainly because you're focusing on it. And wherever we focus, we're actually directing energy to wherever we look. Whether we're conscious of that or not. So wherever we're looking, we're actually directing energy. And we may be taking in energy as well from the same perspective. But that's a bit more of about energy theory and how we get energy coming from food and air. But then also we've got this spirit energy which seems to take in and release, take in and release. So it's a balanced sort of thing. So when people talk, it's actually very... running out of energy is actually a physical idea. Like a fire runs out of gas, lighter runs out of gas. For us, it's more like our bodies. That's the way it works for our bodies, but not the actual energy. Like energy can't be destroyed. What will happen is we'll just move to a different state. And we have that capability to constantly take in energy as well all the time. It's a subconscious thing. We're not even in control of it. Like we breathe. We're not in control of breathing, but we're taking in the energy of breathing all the time. So learning to see this energy is more of is an ability we all have, but it's a more subconscious ability. We just don't really use it anymore. Like I've literally met people and you know, they've said, so you see auras and stuff, and I say, yeah, I see. Well, you know, it's a bit of a term and phrase I don't really like to use, because people think I'm seeing like all these colors, but it's more like I'm just seeing energy around people, energy in the room, and I said, well, you can learn to see it. It's not hard. There's exercises out there. It's not easy. You've got the talent. And they said, well, why do I need to do that when I can just see people normally? You know, why do I need that? You know, I can just see normally. You know, that so I say, well, that's fair enough for you. So that's a way in which we have to remember is that if you're sort of saying, if I'm saying, you're thinking about me saying, you know, we can see auras and it's so great, and you're like, well, why doesn't everyone do that? And the point is, people don't want to. Even though they know about it, they still don't want to. And then you sort of, it confuses me, because I'm like, well, you know, if we were capable of this higher sense of vision, you know, I'd be on top of that. You know, I'd be trying to figure out what is the truth of that situation, what is the actual reality, and I'd be all over that sort of thing. So it's important that you understand that some people are not truth seekers. Some people don't want to dive into that so deeply. Remember, we're all on our different paths. We're all on our different paths. And for some people, they just can't take in that. They hear it and they just, and then they relate back to bad memories when they saw a ghost or something they couldn't understand, or coincidences. So we're all on our different paths, and our ability, the further we go in our path, means that we can take in more truths and more possibilities. You know, it's fine living normally, but then if you're living normally but also accepting the possibility that, let's say spirits exist, then you're living a very different life. But you've also got a more developed identity if you can be more open-minded to the possibilities. Because remember, the possibilities are endless. And we already live in this world where there's all this life surrounding us. So that really can represent your journey, is often how well you can do it. A lot of people saying, I want to see auras, you know, I want to see the energy. And you're saying, hold on, you know, are you even to that point where you can even live life accepting that these things exist? Like, sure, you want to see it, but you'll see it and then you'll sort of go insane. I've seen it happen before. They can't accept it, but they want to see it, but they wouldn't be able to accept it. It's sort of this, you can't handle the truth sort of thing. And that's not a way to say that there's people who are better than others. No. People are all developed in their different areas of life. Some people are very developed in the physical areas, and there's some truths that they say that we couldn't accept. Like, oh, I'm going to work 80 hours this week. You know, that's something we wouldn't be able to understand. So, and if we do it, you know, we'd be sort of having trouble. So there's a lot of different truths going around, and it's really important that you condition yourself and learn to see all